Welcome back to LaRosa's Kentucky football preseason position previews, brought to you by our good friends at LaRosa's. They've got over 40 menu items ranging from pizza, wings, hoagies, fries, and desserts. Take your Saturday to the next level by ordering at larosas.com or visiting one of their 3 locations around Lexington. Today, we're going into the trenches. The Kentucky defensive line, they have not been the talk of the town, but Adam Luckett, they looked great in person at Tuesday's open practice.
They did. I was really pleasantly surprised what we saw on Tuesday at Kentucky, right outside Kroger Field on the practice fields. We all know what Josh Paschal is bringing to the lineup. Healthy Josh Paschal can be one of the best defensive linemen in the SEC, but I like what we kind of saw from the other guys. Marquand McCall, Josiah Hayes look like two guys that can really help at nose, and then you switch over to tackle Octavius Oxendine and I believe Body Fitzgerald. We're both solid. And that's a real big question mark, I think, is that position. If they can get some type of playmaking there at that tackle spot, it's really going to open up everything for their defense.
Yeah, and Freddie, that Calvin Taylor Jr., he did a lot for him back in 2019. They did not have that last season. Do you anticipate one person rising to the occasion at that defensive tackle position, or will this be a kind of role filled by committee type deal?
I think it's going to be filled by committee. And first, we need to point out that Anwar Stewart does a tremendous job developing those defensive linemen, teaching them the game, the position. But I think it's going to be done by committee. Isaiah Gibson's another player that I heard a great deal about during spring practice. I think they're deep. Kentucky's deep at defensive line with two future pros, Marquand McCall, Josh Paschal, 2 of the better interior defensive linemen in the conference in 2021. But that tackle position is going to be fluid and going to be done by committee until one person can step up and create havoc.
I really like what I see just physically from Octavius Oxendine. First off, guy named Ox wears number 8 on the defensive line. You love it. You love to see it as a fan. Homegrown kid. He's really slimmed down. He's looking great, but he's still a redshirt freshman. There's a lot of guys still kind of getting it. It's going to take some time to get acclimated with that wear and tear. So there's no doubt that spot is incredibly important. And there's one player too that we've talked about a lot, haven't seen a lot, Justin Rogers. He got about 9 snaps per game, played in 7 games last year. Freddie, they really, Anwar Stewart was really preaching patience with Justin Rogers because, hey, he used Marquand McCall as an example. Marquand McCall was a highly rated recruit, but it was 4 years before he ended up becoming a starter.
Yeah, it takes time. Defensive linemen, sometimes they're slow cookers. It takes time to develop, especially at that zero their nose technique, because it's a non-glamorous position on the defensive line. You're eating up blocks, you're commanding double teams. So I think we rushed to judge too quickly. It does take time, and Rogers is going to be okay. Mm-hmm. It's going to take a few more sessions with Anwar Stewart to develop into that 5-star player that came out of high school.
Now, he's been playing nose, just where Josiah Hayes, he's doing well at nose as well. And McCall, our boy Bully, Drew Franklin fell in love with him for his antics, but at Luckett, we heard a lot about his maturity throughout the spring. What can we expect from this new look, this old head leader in the room from Marquand McCall?
To be a space eater, guy who's going to demand double teams at the point of attack and free up other players on Kentucky's defense to make some plays. I think we heard Brad White talk about how he can run stuff down, how he's lost some weight, how he's more athletic. I think you could see maybe some more playmaking potentially from that nose position. Maybe they allow him to just shoot some gaps, get some tackles for loss or whatnot. But for McCall, it's just Kentucky just needs him to be a steady force, a guy they can depend on every Saturday to play a lot of snaps and to reset the line of scrimmage right there, that nose tackle spot. I think now they feel like he's ready to do that, and it's his senior year. It seems like a light bulb's kind of turned on, and he's really kind of upped his gear a little bit. So I think for McCall, the big thing is to just be a dominant force there at that nose tackle spot.
And I think the strength too, Freddie. Adam touched on the beginning. Josh Paschal. What does Josh Paschal need to do to take this unit to the next level?
Production, quarterback sack production, tackle for loss, create havoc. And that's what Josh Paschal's role is going to be on this defense. Because, again, we look back, and we talked about it at length. Kentucky only had 15 sacks last year. So that's a number that has to increase. And the defensive player that falls on is Josh Paschal from that defensive end position. As far as Marquand McCall, when he was fresh, he's nearly unblockable.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the difference now is McCall has sustainability. It's not just when he's fresh, but he has durability and can play multiple plays within a drive. That's what Brad White needs from McCall is sustainability and the capability to contribute at time of length on the field.
And I think one thing too, before we get out of here with this edition of the La Rosa's position preview, is that the depth. I can't recall a deeper defensive line. I just can't because we saw it Tuesday, where when it was their turn, there wasn't really much of a drop off at all. They were really disruptive. You might have seen a little bit on the offensive side of the ball. You did not see that whatsoever on the defensive side. This is truly a too deep on the defensive line.
Yeah, and it goes back to just I think the success they've had recruiting that 2020 class. A lot of those guys are going to be able to play and contribute this year. Maybe not starters reps, but they're going to be some quality guys off the bench that you could get 10, 15, 18 snaps from on a weekly basis. And I think that rotation, specifically at that tackle spot, I think it's something we're going to see a healthy amount of players get reps at this season.
Freddie, this could be a big year for Anwar Stewart's defensive line. They got some good ones there.
Yeah, it could be. And talk about depth. I want to see Sam Manelli and how he's developing as Josh Paschal's backup because that's a position that you do require some rotation and see if that drop off is noticeable or not when Paschal's off the field. But across the line, this is one of the deeper defensive lines that I can remember at Kentucky.
Yeah, and Anelli, he looks the part physically. So it's just a matter of turning it into production. That'll do it for this edition of the La Rosa's preseason Kentucky football previews. We'll have more before you know it.